My name is Vash the Stampede!
So, I finally watched Trigun, and yeah, I think I get it now. This anime completely caught me off guard. Going into it, I thought it was just going to be some serious space western with some goofy scenes and a mischievous and cool/rude main character with dope gunfights. And don't get me wrong, it is that, kind of, but it's also way more emotional, way darker, and way more thoughtful than I expected. The show starts off more as a comedy, slowly turns into a moral drama, and then just emotionally tears you apart near the end. The first 2 episodes are genuinely hilarious, to me at least. I just love how the show immediately plays with expectations. Vash is supposedly this legendary, terrifying outlaw, but when we actually meet him, he's a complete goof, like he's a nutball. Everywhere he goes, destruction just accidentally follows him. And that contrast is funny, haha, hee hee. He's clumsy, loud, goofy as hell, but there's clearly something deeper going on. We get tiny little glimpses, little peeks into it. To me at least, he's probably one of the most unique main characters I've seen in anime in a good while. Side characters are fine, nothing crazy early on. I gotta say though, I adore Lily Thompson since the first episode. She's hilarious, she's loud, she's so silly, but she's intelligent. Oh my, she's the best. Love her. Episode 3 is where the show really clicked for me. Still funny, but this is where we really see Vash's morality. He doesn't just save the town by shooting people, he inspires them. He's fearless, he's kind, and he also indirectly influences everyone around him to stand up for themselves. I also love how he clearly pretends to be clumsy on purpose, like when he pops the tire on the getaway car and acts like it was an accident. Like, nah bro, that was intentional. Also, the running gag of Meryl refusing to believe that Vash is, actually Vash, the Stampede, is still really funny. And Gunsmith Frank, that episode is a really great side character too, even if we didn't get to see him for that long. Episode 4 is easily my favorite episode at this point. It's where Vash's humanity really shines. The dude doesn't want to hurt anyone, even criminals. So when the wicked father gets shot and Vash actually cries, sure, it is played as a joke, but that first, scene of him actually tearing up, where the tear leaks from his eye and it's just kind of silent, it does really feel real. So there's a lot of sentiment with that one scene, even if it's kind of played like that. I really love that scene. He's already stated before that he hates seeing blood, hates seeing pain, and this episode just reinforces that notion and that character trait of him. It feels like a genuine part of who he is. Also, shout out to the dub voice actor. I watched the anime in dub, Cry Me a River. Johnny Young Bosch did a terrific job as Vash, and he absolutely nails the tone. Every line delivery is either hilarious or just weirdly emotional, or I guess just emotional, honestly. Episode 5 puts Vash in a moral gray area, which I really liked. The townsfolk need the money, so they go after him. Meryl starts connecting the dots and absolutely tweaks out when she realizes who Vash really is. And yeah, the Nebraska family is annoying, ain't gonna hold you. They are absolutely infuriating, but I get why they're there. They literally try to use Vash's morality against him, which I think was a nice change of pace for the series at where it was at. Episode 6 introduces an antagonist who just wants revenge for something Vash did in the past. And once again, Vash isn't defensive. He's very clearly regretful, he's upset, he feels responsible, and that consistency in his reaction, it makes his character feel, once again, a lot more real, and it's just very consistent for his character since we've seen from the first episode. Episode 7 and 8 really start to tease more lore. We get hints about why Vash is the way he is. He's a pacifist, and the villain ends up being pretty cool. The whole conflict with the vehicle potentially driving off the cliff. Really great tension and a very, very solid 2-parter. Thoroughly enjoyed this little kind of mini arc. Episode 9 introduces Wolfwood. instant classic. A priest to businessman with a giant cross weapon is already insane, but I think what really works is how similar but different he is to Vash. They both want to help people, and they're both altruistic at their core, except Wolfwood is more willing to hurt people for his beliefs. Episode 10 goes even harder. You start learning why Vash is like this. It's clear his whole peace and love motto comes from a genuinely disturbing past. Wolfwood also proves he actually cares about civilians and isn't willing to kill either, at least not casually. You know, there's some moral gray line to it. This episode was great. Episode 11 is where I really just fully locked in. This episode focused a lot on Millie and Wolf. I loved it. Easily my favorite episode yet. They fake you out thinking Vash is resorting to killing, but you know, if you've been paying attention and you're not silly, you know he's pulling some clever bullshit. Millie, being pure-hearted, gets fully solidified here. She's easily my favorite character at this point, and to be honest, I think throughout the entire series. Episodes 12 and 13 are incredible. We get real backstory through an antagonist Vash once knew, and then we meet a villain who actually pushes Vash to his emotional limits. Normal civilians die, and for the first time, Vash is genuinely angry and pissed. Meryl's reaction to seeing the entire conflict is heartbreaking. She's been hiding how much she cares by criticizing him throughout the entire series, but when she sees him truly break, she tears up, and to me that moment is perfect, and I absolutely love it. Genuinely a 10 out of 10 scene for me. The prosthetic arm reveal is super sick. The connection to his past mentor hits hard, and the fact that he almost kills someone and immediately breaks down over it, like, that's to me peak character writing, or just very, very good character writing. Episode 14 is more chill, focuses on family, especially Meryl. Nothing insane, just a nice breather, and I mean, honestly, just a really solid episode, at least for me. Episode 15, fire episode. We get actual dangerous villains now. A dude in a white coat controlling people's bodies and Vash having to fully lock in or he dies. Big shift. It sort of carries and builds this tension that we haven't seen from previous episodes. It kind of starts to build on to, you know, the bigger, more climactic parts of the season later on, which I really appreciate. Episode 16 is where the show completely changes, I think, in my opinion. Instead of episodic villain fights, things spiral, Vash loses control, and causes massive destruction. And we get the moon incident, influenced by knives. Episode 17 is insane. We finally get Vash and humanity's full backstory, and while to me it is a little cliche, it's executed really well, and for me, my thought process is it doesn't matter if something is cliche as long as it's executed in an amazing way, which I think Trigun does really well. Then we get that iconic scene, for me at least, the one that made me want to watch the anime in the first place.
That was the easiest way to stop him. You wanted to save the butterfly, right?
I didn't want to kill the spider, I wanted to save them both!
What are you talking about? Unless the spider caught the butterfly, it would die of starvation anyway. You can't save both, don't you know that?
And immediately after, one of the darkest moments in the entire show. Knives wants to exterminate humanity and almost succeeds, but Rem the goat, Vash's mentor, she saves everyone and sacrifices herself. The show sprinkling her presence throughout the anime makes her death hit way harder, and Vash's emotional scenes involving her are some of the best in the series, in my opinion, especially since we don't really get to see a lot of his more personal moments. Episode 18 shows Vash with a new design, sort of trying to run away from his past, but still helping people anyway. And the Wolfwood reunion is great. Meryl's moment at the end is pretty emotional, and the side characters are just solid. Episode 19 leans hard into Vash struggling to keep his morals intact. The antagonist isn't even a bad dude, and I understood his motivations completely. Episode 20 is amazing. The spaceship society, people refusing to live on the planet, treating outsiders as lesser. To me, it all works, and it's just such an interesting concept within the universe of the anime. Civilians resenting Vash for the destruction he causes is such a good theme, and the villain killing civilians, dark as hell. Episodes 21 and 22 hit emotionally. Vash actually takes time to mourn, calling out names, grieving before getting back into the fight, and the villain kind of wins. The plants are destroyed, and while Vash almost brings one back to life, showing that he isn't fully human, he eventually ends up failing. And that is brutal. It gives the show more tension by adding genuine consequences to the story. Episode 23 is a wild twist. Wolfwood working for Knives. I will say, a little nitpick for me, I do wish there was more foreshadowing, which I think you can argue there is, but I feel like there isn't enough to really solidify Wolfwood, having worked for Knives. I still love it regardless, but at least for me, I just wish there was more foreshadowing. It just feels like it could have been left in the oven for a bit more. Wolfwood, though, struggling with killing Vash and choosing to help him anyways. Also, his backstory and his death in the church was genuinely beautiful. I think easily one of the top 3 best episodes in the entire series. Episode 24 is just pain. It is just pain. Everyone is grieving. Millie pretending she's okay. It just hurts so much, honestly, and you can just feel the pain. Legato mocking Vash and forcing him to choose between civilians, begging him to kill, and Vash finally giving in. It was fucking heartbreaking, and it was painful to see. After watching how hard Vash was fighting to keep those very morals he stood by intact. Episode 25 might be my favorite episode in the entire series. It's a very quiet, reflective, and honestly perfect episode. Vash crying over killing Legato, sitting in silence, letting civilians try to kill him. It's also morally messy in possibly the best way. Meryl's speech is also incredible, and I'm so glad that she gets to have a say in this part of the series right up until the end. Peace and love. Vash realizing that acknowledging your mistakes and trying to be better is what matters. It's simple, but it's powerful, and definitely an amazing message that I think should be portrayed in much more media. I think overall this is just my favorite episode because I love when you get to sit with characters and just see how they process the events that just transpired. It makes them feel more human because at the end of the day, that's kind of what happens with all of us whenever we go through something traumatic or intense. We just kind of sit there after everything is said and done. We sit there and process. And seeing everything in that episode transpire was honestly amazing. I love the realism and that sort of emotional weight without having it be loud or dramatic. I think it's just overall a 10 out of 10 episode in my opinion. The final episode is fantastic. We get a time lapse of Vash's entire life after landing on the planet, living with Knives, and it reminds us of everything he's lost because of Knives. The fight is evenly matched. Knives is cruel, relentless, and immediately going for the kill every chance he gets. I think what I loved most is Vash using Wolfwood's weapon to win. It's just such a good touch and a nice way of paying respect to him and having him be important to the story even if he isn't there. And instead of killing Knives, he chooses his own path, not Rem's ideals and not blind pacifism. He carries Knives away, maybe to change him, maybe not. It's open-ended and I fucking love that. Amazing finale to an amazing anime. 9 out of 10. Badlands Rumble. Quick thoughts. Badlands Rumble is an outstanding addition. I believe it came out in 2010 or 2012, somewhere around that time frame. The antagonist is great, animation is beautiful, and the world feels more alive and colorful in my opinion. I love how it goes back to basics in a sense, Vash kind of defusing situations without fighting, being a lot more goofy, and the world reacting a lot more realistically and a lot more just overall to characters. Wolfwood is utilized really well. Vash's morality is questioned in new ways. I think it's probably the best way we see his morality challenged, in my opinion, throughout the entire series. And I just absolutely love how it's handled. The twist with Gasback's daughter, realizing her goals were selfish as well, perfect. Fantastic movie, and I think just a fantastic franchise.